Not to flex, but I'm really freaking good at being consistent. Since I was 8 years old until now, I literally did the same thing. And I think it all comes down to one secret. I promise that after this video, you will never have a problem with being consistent again. And more than that, I'm gonna break it down to you with the story, the lesson, and then I'm gonna give you a secret of mine. So let's start with something of which I think is very important. In fact, I think it all comes down to it. So since I was 8 years old, I always loved this idea of always being better than what you were before, right? And I was learning all of this scientific research, etc., etc. I wouldn't say a nerd, but it was a combination between masculine energy. And that's it. Okay, so I was learning all of this stuff in National Geographic, learning about animals, learning about life in the wild, learning about all of those stuff, and at the same time, I was the kind of person that always practices what he sees. If I see someone who's building a bush in some forest to run from bears, I probably will go to a garden and build there some sort of room from bamboo or whatever I can find. That's literally what I was doing. When I see someone inventing something, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna invent the same thing. I go sketch something and I start making it. Even if I don't have the resources, I'm just gonna take down a few woods, push them together. I'm like, I have a plane, even that it doesn't work. And all of these like that sometimes I was getting to the dangerous side. So my family had to step in and they're like, okay, chill. That's the room you're building in the garden is a little bit too risky. So we're probably going to destroy it without telling you. And we will tell you that we have no clue. And they're like, oh, damn, that's awesome. And it will all make sense in a moment. Okay, so I promise all of this will make sense. Just like what I did at the age of 8, 9, 10 years old is literally who built who I am. So I've been these days, right? And after all of these years of being consistent, I asked myself and I said, it's the same feeling that I felt when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old. It's the same feeling. It's different than doing the same thing. Because people that are always stimulated by whatever it is, okay, listening to music, using social media, doing this, getting addicted, doing all of the fast dopamine hits, they don't really get to this level, right? So once you get to the level of feeling stuff instead of knowing stuff, then you're literally just up-leveled yourself. And this is also mentioned in one of the greatest books of all time, Think and Grow Rich. He talks about the unconsciousness as this limited source of unlimited intelligence that only can be tapped by practice, and also it is the source of all hints, inspirations, visions, etc. And it can only be accessed when logic and reasoning is combined with emotional stuff. So you have to mix emotions with what you want, right? And it is something that I did when I was young, because I really wanted to put my life on the line. I was like, you know what? I want to go live in the wilds. My family were like, okay, chill. I was like, I want to. And they'll do whatever it takes. And it was always counting these days, you know, going to my mother. I'm like, okay, I want you to do this one thing. She's like, well, you're too young for this. And I'm like, okay, so what is the time when I'm not too young? And when I get to that age, I go to my mother. I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna do this thing. And she's like, no, you're too young for this. I'm like, okay, you told me this date, you know, this time ago, where or when I'm gonna do this. And that repeated because I really wanted that term or feeling of freedom to be felt by what I wanted to do. It's like I am the own pilot of my life rather than always being guided or always being driven. It's a different concept. And that's literally what I felt. So now I'm making all of these decisions and making all of these, you know, it's me type of thing. And I'm like, damn, it just saw me when I was 8 years old. And it's not one of those bullshit that you see on social media that like the kid inside of me, there's no kid inside of me, okay? I'm very adult, a man. And when I was young, I was man. You understand? So different. When I was young, I didn't want to play more. I really wanted to grow up fast. I was like, I can't wait until I'm 20. I can't wait until I'm 16. I can't wait until this, right? And that always went down. And in fact, I was listening to anyone who would give me anything about that. So you'll say, all right, this makes sense. But also, how this makes sense to me, practically doing it now and being consistent. It's literally what it is. It's being you, being authentic, and doing it your way. I'm going to give you an example. When I was 14 years old, I started uploading YouTube videos. So I realized I actually started filming at the age of 8, but I was filming with my Nokia, bullshit like that. And at the age of 14, I realized, well, there is YouTube, that they film the videos that I film, but they upload them, it's entertaining, and at the same time, they literally get paid for it. So it's a job. I was like, this is awesome, dude. I can do whatever I want and also get paid for it. That's awesome. And that's what I started. And I never stopped. Like since then, I never stopped. Right? At the beginning, it was only in the weekends, only in the vacations, stuff like that. Then it was a job. Then it was not very so much of a job because it didn't succeed as much. Then I also went back, and something like I never will, I will literally never leave. In fact, I was talking to my mother a few weeks ago, and I told her this is something that I know I will never leave. Like whatever happens, I learned my lessons right now. I will never leave this thing. And the fact is that the time when I was not consistent, so my first year in college, I got in college and I said, you know what? Whatever I was doing with YouTube, I'm going to do now with college. So I went to college with all of the energy. I said, I'm going to go to college all time and just leave everything else. Right? Cut down sports, cut down YouTube, cut down sales, cut down whatever I want. And it was focused only on school, and I was doing good. Like I was in the best 10% of the class, etc., etc. I was good with the classmates, but also didn't feel good. Like psychologically, I was horrible. In fact, at the last 2 days in school, an entire school year, an entire college year, I found that I will repeat the year. In some situation that was very rare, that doesn't happen. They were like, yo, you are going to repeat it. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm the 8th in the class. Oh, no, nobody gives a fuck. You're just gonna repeat the year. And it was like, dude, when I was crying alone in the darkness, my mother was crying alone in the darkness. Nobody was with us. So I realized that, one of the stupidest decisions that I made was actually to leave YouTube and leave what I want and just pursue college all the time, just to get better grades. And in fact, later on, I did research on myself and I analyzed myself for the past 3 years, and I realized when I do YouTube and stay in college, it's actually way better for me. So why not do the other thing? Why I'm gonna risk it and go do the other thing that will not make me a better person at all? And this shows you a lot about consistency. Consistency is literally doing something. And the trick to do it is make your goals related to consistency. I'm going to give you an example. So there's this period of my life where I sort of got out of consistency, and I had this argument of consistency versus quality. It's the biggest bullshit scam that you will ever hear. There's no such thing. Quality comes from consistency. You put in volume, then you have data to analyze, to make decisions. Those decisions are literally the quality. So you have to make consistency to make quality. It's this order. It's not the other way around. So I realized that, I'm just going to do quality. And instead of making goals about what I will do, I set goals about what I want. So let's say per se, I didn't say I want to get to 50,000 subscribers on my channel. I said that instead of saying I'm going to upload X amount of videos or this type of videos X amount of time in this X period, And guess what? I didn't succeed. I achieved it 1 year later. And the thing about it is literally that when you make your goals and relate it to your consistency just does not get tracked, and whatever does not get tracked definitely will not grow. Whatever gets tracked grows, whether that be in your consistency. Right at the beginning, when I was started YT Galaxy, of which literally I'm producing right now, I literally did something which was counting the days. I literally was counting the days, so I reached 100, 200, 300, etc. It's that's literally what I was doing, right? And people were like, yo, you're crazy. That's literally what I was doing. I was also counting the amount of videos that I upload, the amount of this, that amount. It's not only in this, it's in all, I was doing it in everything. because I knew that that's what actually matters. Look, consistency is literally, this is a quote, I think by Andrew or Tristan Tate, that they say, if you want to fail in life, don't be consistent. If you are consistent, it will be very hard to fail. So it's a reverse psychology. It will be very hard to fail if you're consistent every freaking day. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. In fact, I'm going to say something that I've never said about consistency. So before I started YT Galaxy journey, so like the main journey, right, about 1 year and 1 month now, 2 months, something like that. So I actually watched 2 videos. I watched one video of Mr. Beast, who's like the biggest YouTuber in the world, and he said one thing. He said, look, a lot of YouTubers are saying or always asking about how I'm not getting results. And he says, look, losers, shut the fuck up and hear this. Make 100 videos, and on your video number 101, let's talk about quality, let's talk about results, and just get better every day. And I was like, okay, I've heard all of these lessons that I applied for 8 years. You know what? I'm gonna fucking do this. Right? At the time, it was the hardest. I never been consistent. I never been so consistent. I was always consistent, but I was not as consistent as uploading 100 videos, let's say, per year. Right? I was only like uploading few videos per year, few videos per month, you know, probably like 30 videos a year, something like that on YouTube, and like not a lot. So I said, okay, let's do this. So that's why a few months later, I realized that, well, that is my goal. I'm going to reach 100 videos. And that's why actually just 2 months ago, I made the video number 100th. And I said, the video number 100th, because it means a lot to me. Like all of this was all about that, you know, but I never shared it. Actually, this is my first time even talking to anyone about it, except Adam Asta, who's another YouTuber. I told him this before. He was like, oh, awesome. Okay, I understand now. He was like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you uploading all of these videos? Are bullshit, dude. You have to follow the algorithm. You have to do the rules. I was like, you know what? I understand, but this is my own decision. And you see, these things are really what matters with consistency. It's like, one, it will give you a great dopamine levels, okay? So like you say, the fact that you say something that you will do it and you actually do it, it's just feeling that it's unmatched. And you can only access that by doing the stuff that you actually can control. I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say I'm gonna just give some random thing. It's like, let's say someone wants to lose weight, wants to lose 5 kilograms a month. Okay? So instead of just doing that as a goal, he can just say, okay, I have to hit the gym 5 times a week. And that's it. Or do cardio 3 times a week. Whatever that means. Or do a bike for 60 minutes. Walk for 2 hours a day. Whatever. It's those stuff that you can literally calculate. Or if it's a month, instead of saying I walk 2 hours per day, I say I walk, let's say 2 hours, so it's 60 hours a month. I walk 60 hours a month. And this is a trick that you can do with consistency, is that you really don't have to be consistent. So like today and tomorrow and the day after. Sometimes some stuff happen. You have these assignments that you have to work on, right? There is this different aspects of life, so you can always like make up for what you didn't do. So instead, the other day, instead of doing 2, you do 4, or just you pile them up and you do 24 hours of walking, something like that. You know what I mean? So there's always these possibilities. It's all types of consistency. It really doesn't matter to you. The best of them is literally just doing consistency every single day, because this means you are in the mental state that is literally always back to back. And that's why a lot of people like Conor McGregor always talks about this. He said, I didn't just succeed, but I won back to back. Not everyone does this, because they understand even this principle that I learned the hard way. If there is one principle that you have to take about consistency, so before you be consistent, do this one thing. About 3 years ago, I literally succeeded somehow in what I wanted. So I got some results of which I wanted in YouTube, etc. What happened after that, I was unable to produce anything, so I lost it all. All what kept in my head was, if you do it once, it's luck. If you do it twice, you're a legend. That's all what consumes me, dude. Because I was not doing consistency goals. You know, when you make consistency goals, it's different. Because now you understand. So let's say, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you make that you walk 2 hours per day for a month. If you lose, let's say, 2 kilograms at the end of the month, you understand that those 2 hours that you were walking lost you 2 kilograms at the end of the month. It's something you can calculate. And if you want to make it even better, you can do different stuff. Let's say you walk 2 hours, the next month you swim 2 hours, the next month you run 2 hours, the next month you bike 2 hours. And you're like, okay, the first month I lost 2 kilograms, the second I lost 3, the third I lost none, and the fourth I lost 0.5 kilogram. So probably the second month will be better because you lost 3 kilograms, etc. So it's always these things, because look, if you don't have data, if you don't put in volume enough, you have no clue about what its quality is. I've seen countless of bullshit, literally fucking losers talking about YouTube as a game they understand, and they say, oh, it's a game, quality versus quantity, bullshit. No. It's a business. If you're gonna treat a game, if you're gonna treat YouTube, don't treat it like a fucking video game. You're not playing Fortnite. You're literally fucking building a business. Treat it like that. Treat your viewers as customers. Give them value. Give them what they want. Understand them. Communicate with them. That's literally what fucking matters. And you can't build a successful business with just starting with the fucking best at first. Duh. Apple's didn't fucking build the MacBook Air 2 M2 chip fucking with AI that we have right now. It started with some bullshit big screen. Literally some fat screen. iMacs. That's what happens. You know? And this is something that happens all the time. And people expect that because they see Mr. Beast, they see I Show Speed, they say Kai Cenat, they see whatever it is. They're like, oh dude, I can just do the same. Logan Paul did it in 2017. I can do the same. No, you can't. Most likely you can't. There is a chance, but most likely you can't. And sometimes a lot of stories that you hear about YouTubers is actually just faked, because it is what sells. So it's better to have a good story than a bad story. If you can literally just skip some parts of your story and you get a few millions of dollars in the back, that's better. It's way bigger of a ROI than just saying, oh, well, I also did this one thing and nobody will give a fuck anyway. But people are so naive, okay? And they just don't understand. And this is like, look, before you be consistent, do this one thing. Measure your consistency on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, and a yearly basis. And every few years. Because that's how you understand. Collect the data about everything you do. Analyze all the data. Make decisions based on the analysis. So like that, you are consistent, you are in the healthy side of the business. At the same time, you're fucking making resolutions and making stuff work. And this is literally also ends the argument versus that talks about quality versus quantity. It's not a fucking thing. It does not, like, dude, it's just not a thing at all. And when Steve Jobs talks obsessed about product, obsessed about customer satisfaction, the same goes with Steve Jobs, the same goes with Elon Musk. It's not that. It's not saying make the next Mr. Beast video in your first video on YouTube. It just means that first you have to also begin making videos. So at the time when you're comfortable and you know you will make videos anyway, then you're like, okay, now how can I make the videos better? Always remember that something is better than nothing in anything. And some things are better than others. Duh. But you have to start with think first, then you analyze and you make a decision. And even look, in the 4-Hour Work Week, one of the biggest books about entrepreneurship, right? He speaks about this. He said, when you get to a job, at the first 2 months, you have to go all in to collect the data. You have to put in the volume to understand what works and what not. Then you apply the 20-80% rule, which means 80% of what you do gives you 80% of the results. So you just focus on that 20%. And sometimes it's 95, 5%, 90, 10%, etc. So you have to just do whatever is giving you the highest ROI, return on investment. And just do that for the rest, right? And figure out ways. And that's how you do it. So whatever game you're in, focus on volume first. Then instead of wanting the results, just focus on what volumes, what type of stuff that you did that give you the best of the results. Do that more. And continue the cycle. So always put more volume of the stuff that you think are best. You put in the volume. So you're going more in detail. So I'm going to give you an example. Mr. Beast didn't just analyze YouTube. He analyzed his own videos. Now he literally knows the answers because he has the capability of producing videos unlimitedly in the first place. So you understand, well, if he does one thing that he can do, he will get more views. For you, most of the things that Mr. Beast does are not applied to you. You don't have all of the equipments, materials, money, etc. So you have to focus on yourself because it's your business. It's not just a YouTube channel for YouTube. It's your business. It's your baby. The viewers are your customers. Treat it like that. And I'm going all in on YouTube because that's like I did that for 8 years. And you can apply it in the same thing everywhere. Because literally nothing changed about any domain in life. It's literally all the same. As I promised, now you literally can be consistent in everything you want, how long you want, the way you want it, and literally you can do it from now. And what you've seen here, you can never unseen. So you might as well subscribe.